warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon I bid to our beloved lecturer and my fellow friends. I'm Farah Amina binti Othman, and if I may get your attention for a while, I would like to introduce you to a certain lady I found from the internet. This is Lucy Adams. Lucy lives in a small city named Colac in Victoria, Australia. She looks like a really nice and friendly lady, right? Well, what you don't know about Lucy is that she suffers from an illness that is related to the human brain. Although human minds are complex, you may walk around your school or at your workplace or in your neighborhood without realizing that some of your friends or your coworkers may suffer from a mental illness that is often disregarded from the public eye. The illness that I'm talking about here is dissociative identity disorder. Lucy Adams has DID, or it can also be known as multiple personality disorder, and to the public's surprise, she has 36 distinct personalities. So that is like saying 36 people in one body. But what is dissociative identity disorder? Dryden Edwards in 2014 defined DID as a mental illness where the sufferer experiences two or more clear identities or self-states. And she also added that the personalities, they have a unique and consistent way of seeing the world. Katakovsky in 2011 mentioned that DID is characterized by distinct identities or self-states, and which makes it and the inability of the patients to remember information that goes beyond forgetfulness. DID is real, and it is a debilitating disorder that makes it difficult for patients to function. So it is imperative for us to know the information regarding DID. So for today, I'll be presenting on the causes, the symptoms, and the treatment that can be done to help people with DID. So the first, I'll be touching on the causes of DID, where the main cause of it is due to childhood trauma. Dryden Edwards in 2014 explained that the main cause of DID is due to severe trauma that individuals experience during their childhood. And victims, they tend to wall off or they will dissociate those bad memories. And the prolonged trauma is due to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. And Curtis in 2004 mentioned that people with DID, they are exposed to multiple types of maltreatment, especially in neglectful situations or environments. And Kluft in 1984 echoed this statement by saying that victims, they are provided with little soothing and sometimes even without any comfort for them to get through the traumatic events. So this is the moment where the other personalities will come and take control of their bodies and their minds. So next, the Cleveland Clinic has mentioned that it is more common for female to have DID than the male, and this is likely due to the higher number of cases of sexual abuse in females. And the UK National Health Service in 2009 to 2010 has laid out a statistic saying that the percentage of female to male suffering from DID are 70 to 30% respectively. So now you know that the primary cause of DID is due to childhood trauma. Now let us see what are the symptoms that can be found in people suffering from DID. The symptoms are a lot, of course. Pice in 2014 stated that the symptoms that can be seen in people with DID are the inability to recall huge parts of their life, especially their early lives, and of course memory loss. And patients with DID will sometimes get this sudden return of memories in the form of flashbacks to the traumatic events that they had when they were little. And the above pie chart shows the obvious and hidden signs of DID, where the obvious signs are derealization, depersonalization, identity alteration, and identity confusion. And other symptoms include hindering speech and movement, and also refusal to eat. And patients with DID, they frequently have this temporary blanking out or switching off moments, especially during times of stress and hardship. And this can be seen from the previous story of Lucy Adams, where Lucy said that it takes a considerably extreme amount of stress for her to change to her other personalities. And she also said that people around her, they could tell they are aware of the personality changes. So these are the symptoms that we can see in people with DID. Now let us see what are the treatments that can be done to help people with DID. So the treatments include psychotherapy, cognitive therapy, family therapy, and clinical hypnosis. So the first one is psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is a therapy in which experts will try to take all the personalities and integrate them into one personality. So this involves techniques that helps to trigger the dissociative symptoms to help patients get through this process. So the steps include first by uncovering or mapping the different personalities. This is by getting to know or identifying all the different personalities. Next is fusing the alters together, and lastly, consolidate them into one. The Cleveland Clinic has laid out two treatments to help patients with DID, which are cognitive therapy and family therapy. So first is cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy is a therapy where experts they try to change the dysfunctional thinking pattern of the patients. This is because people with DID, their minds are like puzzles but with missing pieces. So what these experts want to do is they want to help the patient to remember their past and try to change this thinking pattern to become a normal one. So next is family therapy. This is like what I'm doing right now, giving information regarding DID but giving them to families. This is to help family who has loved ones suffering from DID. And the last treatment is clinical hypnosis. Clinical hypnosis is using intense relaxation towards the patients. This is done by allowing the patients to wander their thoughts, their feelings, and their emotions that are concealed from their conscious minds. This is done in a very soothing environment. So this concludes all of the treatments that we can do to help people with DID. So all in all, today we have looked at the causes, the symptoms, and the treatments that can be done to help people with DID. Dissociative identity disorder is real and it is happening around us. And like I've said before, our human minds are complex. So it is imperative for us to know what are the illness that is related to this human brain of ours. By becoming aware of this valuable information, you may be able to know or even recognize people suffering from DID, and who knows, you may be able to save their life. So that is all from me. Thank you. Any questions?
Is it okay to live with DID?
Well, no, because dissociative identity disorder can be really exhausting. This is because you are living with other personalities, and when the other personalities are taking over your body or your mind, you will not be able to remember that time frame when they are taking over your body. So it can be really exhausting. However, there are some cases where patients they refuse to get treatment because they are attached to these other personalities. So in the end, it's actually up to the patients whether they want to get treatment or not.